So we're joined from the natural state of Little Rock, Arkansas, by my friend Charity Miller, principal consultant, owner, and founder of Lime Group Consulting there in Arkansas. Thank you so much for joining us today. This is our entrepreneurship class here at Velma Jackson High School, and I've got a room full here with me. And we're recording this for all of our entrepreneurship classes in Madison County Schools, Madison Central, Ridgeland High School, Germantown High School, the Academic Options Center, and our YouTube channel. So thank you for joining us today and being able to share your incredible personal story and your incredible business story.
Thank you for having me. I wish an entrepreneurship class was available when I was in high school, so I just think that's so cool.
Tell me about it. Now, we obviously want to talk about all the great things you're doing at Lime Group, but just to give us a little background, you are originally from Arkansas, but you went to school at Colorado Tech and then got your master's, you got an MBA at Louisiana State University Shreveport, home of the pilots. So
Yes.
just just take us through that process and how getting those degrees, which are both, you got an MBA, which is better than most people can say, and that led you to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah, so originally born and raised in Little Rock, Arkansas, lived in Arkansas up until about 2016, and I decided to relocate to Oklahoma City because I knew that there are probably more job opportunities available in a larger city. I also had some family there as well. And it had just always been a dream and a goal of mine to work for myself. So I thought
Yeah.
the best way to pursue that is to ensure I am getting a business degree. And I knew immediately after completing my undergrad with Colorado Tech University that I wanted to go straight into my MBA program, which I did literally 2 months afterwards. That probably was a little insane, and while I was pursuing my degrees, I actually pursued them back to back. I worked for a tech company for the majority of the time that I was in Oklahoma City called Paycom. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with that company, but it is a HCM SaaS payroll company. And I actually worked in sales enablement and sales operations where we helped potential or prospective clients to basically create solutions to show them the product and basically see how they can see their processes in our current products. So that was a really great experience. I was in a leadership role there, which is pretty uncommon, especially from a sales aspect and a tech aspect, because it pretty is, very male dominated. So that was a really great opportunity for me, all in the midst of me working in tech and corporate. I am also going to school for both undergrad and graduate. And I completed my MBA program through LSU Shreveport. Shout out to LSU Shreveport. Amazing program. I actually did an accelerated MBA program. So I got my MBA within 10 months. And
Wow.
I'm super grateful for that opportunity, a really great program. And after I completed that program, again, I'm still working in corporate. I'm very busy. I have all of these things going on. And I just thought about one day while I was at work. Again, I worked in sales operations. So we worked with prospective clients and we helped them to basically create processes so that they could see their existing processes
Yeah.
within our tech products. And I would notice this common theme, this common trend in that no matter what size the company, whether if it's an enterprise size company with 5,000 plus employees, if it's a mid-sized company, that there would be a trend in that they had very poor processes.
Wow.
So, and it's wild because these are companies that have been around for a really long time and have also high revenue as well. So I just thought about it. There are so many businesses that have these repetitive, duplicative tasks. Payroll people are doing 4 and 5 different steps over and over. And I just thought about how much better could these companies be if they had better processes that were standardized, that were consistent. And that's what really got me into thinking about, okay, because I knew I wanted to have a business, what is a way that we could really streamline and optimize these processes for these businesses? While I was also in that role, I actually advised on automation. So, say if we would have a prospect where they currently have an ERP system, how could we integrate that system with our product? So, I learned a lot about automation. So that is what got me into creating my business, Lime Group Consulting, where we focus on operational efficiency, process improvement, and task automation, and really help businesses to have a solid foundation to have sustainable growth. So that's just kind of a little bit about me and how I got to where I am now. I actually made the transition from corporate, actually the corporate early last year, but I launched my business while I was still working in corporate. So it may not, be the best decision, but it was a decision that I made. And yeah, it's just been really great. Of course, there is a big difference between entrepreneurship versus working in corporate, but so many of the things that I learned in corporate have been easily transferable into my journey as an entrepreneur now.
Yeah, and I think it's cool too that you not only have those degrees, you have several tech certifications as well.
Yes,
And and here in our district, people love to say we just tell everybody to go to college, but the tech field is something that if you have the certifications and you learn the business, it's not necessarily something you'd have to go the traditional college route for. Because some kids
absolutely.
say, "Look, I'd love to work in tech, or even if you want to run your own tech business, being certified in certain tech programs. I know you're a certified Scrum Master, which is such a great way to get your foot in the door and start learning tech. Those are programs that can be learned in a matter of months, depending on where you go, or even through the community colleges. I know Arkansas has a great community college system as well. So it is not necessarily being a tech entrepreneur is not something you would need the MBA for. Is the MBA great? Absolutely. It does teach you a lot of things about business. But if we have so many kids that say, look, I want to go into business for myself. I really like tech. I'm just not a college person. That's fine. There's opportunity in this field for that.
Yes, completely agree. I'm so glad that you mentioned that too, Greg, because just let's say, for example, learning how to code. Of course, coding is an amazing skill to have. There's so much opportunity there. I learned a little bit about coding probably when I was in seventh grade. We actually had a coding class. I'm not sure if you guys have that at like the middle school level within your district. And also, last year, I just kind of explored that further, coding HTML specifically. And it was just through a local program. So I think if there's an interest in someone wanting to enter the tech field, there are so many resources available to teach about coding, to teach about AI, and because that's the future of technology. It's just more use of AI. But you're right. There's so much opportunity. You don't necessarily need a degree for that either. So there's just so much opportunity for anyone who is interested in entering the tech field. You just have to search for all of the resources available, and you'll be surprised to find that there are a lot of resources available, probably through your local library on YouTube. There's just such a wealth of information just online that could really help someone who wanted to enter the tech field.
Yeah, and they do have coding in middle school, and then on the high school level, they can get IT certifications in high school with our great IT associate program over at Madison County Career and Technical Center with my good friend Tiffany Turnage. And we've had several students go through that, and when they graduate high school, they have IT certifications where they can
Nice.
get into the field immediately. But and that's great. But at the end of the day, we've had so many entrepreneurs in this program that have all said kind of similar things. They said, I learned so. I'll give you an example of a doctor we had on this platform that was one of the leading doctors in her field in the country, but she wanted to go into business for herself. And she said, I knew everything about how to take care of patients. I knew everything about how to diagnose diseases, but I do nothing about how to run a business. So you can be the most talented tech person in the world, but at the end of the day, you've got to have that tenacity and that initiative to be a successful entrepreneur.
Oh, yes, completely agree. I tell anyone because I also serve as a mentor to up and coming entrepreneurs, and of course I advise business owners on how to really grow their business. And it does take particular skill sets and mindsets and soft skills that you have to have. You have to be very gritty. You have to be very solutions oriented, meaning if there's a problem, you have to be willing to create a solution for that. And that was a really great point about what that person mentioned is that you can have all of these really great hard skills, be really knowledgeable in technology, be really knowledgeable in whatever your field of expertise is, but you have to have these core skills to really help you to be successful in business. You have to be solutions oriented. You have to be very self aware of what it is that you are good at and what it is that you are not good at as well. In entrepreneurship, honestly, you learn a lot of it along the way. And this is coming from someone who transitioned from a very large publicly traded company, who went to school for business, who pursued an MBA. I will still sit here and say every single day, a lot of entrepreneurship about it, you learn things every single day.
Yeah.
You're learning something new every day.
And I'm glad you mentioned too about the soft skills because if you want to be a corporate cog in the wheel, by all means, there is nothing wrong with that. I mean, some of these big companies have some of the best benefit packages that you could ever dream of, and they have some of the best vacation packages and everything. And if we have kids that want to do that, by all means, we'll help them find the job. But if you're going to be the entrepreneur, you got to be the person that sells. You got to be the person that communicates
Hmm.
because you may not personally oversee every single project, but you've got to train a staff. You've got to make sure that people are on the same page. And then you've got to teach your staff how to listen and how to sell. And then a lot of these companies you're dealing with are not tech companies. You've got to be able to speak in layman's terms like you're talking to a 5-year-old
Hmm.
about what you're doing to automate their system. So I always think, I always have this conversation briefly with all the guests because on Friday, they're all going to give their presentations in this class. And they get so upset that I'm making them talk. And they do a great job. And I'm not just saying that. They really do a great job, but they don't like it and they're not going to pretend they like it. But how important are honing those skills right now in high school to be a successful business person? Because at the end of the day, even if you are a virtual business like you are, you've still got to be able to have a very
Hmm.
professional, articulate conversation with the client.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm so actually impressed that the kids are actually going to be presenting, I'm presuming, like a business idea or something like that, to speak confidently, public speaking, and also to speak about your business with confidence. Yes, I understand that can be very uncomfortable, but it's a necessary in business. Nobody's going to know about your business if you're scared to talk about your business, if you're scared to discuss your business. And also, you have to think about it too. If you're not confident in speaking about your business, that's not going to make a seller be confident in investing in business with you, in doing business with you. So it's one of those things that, yeah, it's probably uncomfortable. It's probably hard, but it's just one of those things you have to do because as a business owner, there's never going to be a day where you're not going to sell or where you're not going to need to have an elevator pitch where you just give a couple 30-second run about what your business is. But I think what really helps with that to really instill more confidence is to really be confident in your business concept. Ensure that you understand what your value proposition is. How are you going to bring value to people? And at the core, you need to ensure that your business solves a problem. It needs to meet some type of need. So I feel like when there is more of a solid foundation as far as the value prop, the solution that is being provided by this service or this product that's being offered, that brings a lot of confidence with selling it, confidence with speaking with potential clients or customers, and also just doing customer discovery, just calling and contacting people to make sure that you're meeting the mark as far as a product service market fit. So yeah, those skills are definitely important. You have to ensure that you're able to communicate because when you're an entrepreneur, you're going to do it all, honestly. You're going to be the salesperson, you're going to be the finance person, you're going to be the operations person. Of course, you can have people that can help you with those things that you really are not good at, but starting out, you may have to do a lot of those things by yourself. So it's really about believing in yourself, being confident, and ensuring that you have a solid, viable business concept.
Yeah, and when you talk about processes, because I think that's so cool that you saw as a corporate employee, the problem that you wanted to solve was the processes within businesses. So, what's an example of a process that an entrepreneur starting out may not understand needs to be more efficient, or needs to understand could use a new technology or AI to help them complete it?
Yeah, I would say something that is very common. And this was something that I learned within my business too, because I started out with just focusing more on task automation. Like these people have processes, but they're kind of all over the place. Let's streamline them to where a process that took several hours can now just take a few minutes. But after I got to talking to more businesses, talking to more companies, I actually realized that the issue wasn't so much that their processes needed to be automated. I discovered that they didn't have processes at all.
Wow.
And that's really concerning as a business because I look at it as if you don't have processes, that means you have inconsistency, And if you have inputs that differ, you're going to have outputs that differ. So there's never going to be any consistency when you have multiple people that are doing different things. So an example would be there is a payroll process, and there are three people that are entering in time manually. There are employees that are writing down their time manually. And there has to be, the payroll has to run through the hands of the person that's going to check the time. They have to go back to the supervisors and confirm the time for the employees that the employees worked. And then the payroll person has to also, a separate person, because there are multiple people involved in this process, a payroll person has to go and look at the time, like if someone had time off or things like that. And I just realized that there's just so many duplicative things going on. Like, and we're talking about payroll, for example, right? We want to make sure people are getting paid on time. But I would say the biggest thing that is common is that there just aren't processes, and there isn't an understanding of the importance of
Yeah,
having processes.
there you
And
go.
it's honestly just there are processes that don't exist. And I will say too, I do have a way to qualify companies that I work with. Um, so when it comes to processes, so if you have processes, but maybe they need to be documented or they haven't been updated, maybe you have standard operating procedures, SOPs that just need to be updated, and there we want to be able to look and see how we could streamline those. That's a company that I could definitely work with. But I've learned from experience that if a company has no processes at all across multiple departments, that's a bigger issue, right? Because
Yeah,
that makes me think that if there are no processes at all, there's no clear organizational objectives. What are we actually striving for? What are we reaching for if there's no process for anything across the
yeah,
board? So yeah, I would say that the biggest thing that I've found, and even again going back to corporate, I mean, massive businesses that have pro processes and are still able, to make it. So I would say that's the biggest thing that I've discovered is that there are so many businesses that just don't have processes at all.
wow. Well, before I get to their questions, I think it'd be important to talk about just under 5 months ago, you had an unbelievable event, and it's just such a miracle that you're still with us, and you have shared the story, and it's so inspirational that you've been able to overcome such a scare in your own life. So just take us through that situation, and and all the things that you've learned from that. I don't want to give away too much, but it's so inspirational to see what you've posted since then to talk about how you really look at life now.
Yeah, so in June on Father's Day, I had a massive heart attack. Exactly 2 weeks after my 35th birthday. So it's relatively young to have a heart attack. Normally, if you hear of people having heart attacks, they're in their 60s or 70s or even older. But what was so odd about it is that still to this day there was no root cause. And I was walking around for 4 days with chest pains, not knowing where they're coming from. I thought it was really bad indigestion. I went to the ER on one of those days over the course of those 4 days and was told that, hey, this is just really bad indigestion. Your heart looks fine. Your EKG is fine. They test for something called troponin. They said that that was fine as well. So all of these things that make it appear as if everything was fine with my heart. So by the time Father's Day comes around, I discovered that the heart attack had already occurred, and I had 100% blockage within my coronary artery, within my heart. So I did have to have a something called like a stent implanted to fix that broken coronary artery. So it's something that I call like a mystery and a miracle. It's a mystery in that it literally was something that just came out of the blue. Like one day I'm just in Walmart having chest pains. A couple of days later, I'm rushed to have this emergency procedure, and there still isn't a root cause of it up until today. And it's a miracle that I'm still here. It's a miracle that God kept me and that my heart function is improving and that I'm getting so much better. Of course, it is a journey, because things are different. I do get, a little bit more easily winded and things like that. But what it's really helped me to realize is that life is short, and that life is precious, and the importance of being aware of the signs of a heart attack, honestly, because I don't think a lot of people are aware of, nausea and chest pains and numbness in your limbs and different things like that. So that's really cause for me to want to bring awareness to heart health, especially in women, and the importance of it. And even if you're doing everything right, if you're eating healthy, you're working out, because me myself, I'm relatively healthy as well. If you're doing all the things, you still want to go and make sure that you get your heart checked and that everything is good. So that's been something that's been really important to me, and just bringing awareness to the importance of heart health. And yeah, I'm just a walking miracle. So
Yeah, and the posts you've had since then are just so inspirational about how much you appreciate things and how motivated you've become because you're back in the gym and really living a normal life. And look, and not to get off on a whole medical speech, but I had a similar situation a year and a half ago, not that serious, but I did have a ruptured appendix. I ignored symptoms for a couple of days. It could have been a lot more serious if I had keep ignoring those symptoms. So I just encourage everyone, if it doesn't feel right, it's okay to have somebody check it out.
mhm.
If it's nothing, that's fine. But going to the seeking medical attention could literally save your life. And you're such a great example of that. Really just a miracle, and just really looking forward to what all you're going to do. And it's just an inspiration to me. And we'll definitely share your heart story that was posted this last week with all of our students so they can be inspired by it as well. So I enjoyed
Thanks.
listening to it on the way to work this morning. But I do have some questions from the students, and I like this is a good one to start with. This is Zayden Mann. He's in ninth grade, really interested in the tech space as well. And he asked, "What do you value most in your tech, or what about your tech products do you value most?"
I will say I value the most as far as tech products. Just honestly, like the different automation platforms that are available that I think are just so cool. And this is something I would definitely encourage you guys who are interested in tech, interested in automation, to explore the different platforms that are available to automate a lot of the different things that you do. So Zapier, for example, Pabbly Connect, Make, which I think used to be called Integromat, and also just explore the current technologies that you are using. There is actually a lot of automation built in within a lot of different programs that you guys are currently using. So those are products that I use as well, that I also use with clients, just because when you think about it, it's so cool to use something called APIs, which essentially is just like a bridge to integrate one program with another. There are so many different APIs available to allow for multiple platforms to talk to each other, and it allows for you to easily build a process. So I would say just check into the different automation tools that are available. They're really cool.
Yeah, and we've had several entrepreneurs on this same platform talk about how AI has helped them format things. And
Hmm.
I've even encouraged on their current business concepts, use AI to help you. It can trigger an idea. You can put in a prompt, and then you just change one or two words after it spits it out, and it gears towards your business. If you're not good at formatting, have AI format it for you. You've prompted
Hmm.
it, it knows what you want, and it looks a lot more clean and it looks a lot more organized. So we actually encourage our students to use AI to help them. Now, there's a big difference between using AI to write an English paper and using AI to help you with your business idea. So we definitely draw the line, but it is something that can be used, and it's important to start using it now.
Yeah, absolutely. I actually wasn't sure if you guys used, that's why I didn't mention it, because I didn't know if you guys allowed the use of ChatGPT, Google Gemini, like all
Yeah,
of the different AIs, because they're everywhere. They're in a lot of your browsers as well. But you're right, it's a very good aid to help you, for sure. Completely agree.
absolutely. I like this one. This is Albriana Towner. She is in 11th grade. She's got a really cool concept about student aid, kind of a thing as well. And she asked, "What habits have helped you have, I'm sorry, what habits help make you successful?"
Oh, that's a really good question. I would say that there's something called time blocking. This was something that I did in corporate. I had to. I was very busy. I had a large team to manage, but I noticed that this also helped me in entrepreneurship. So essentially, time blocking is just setting aside particular hours to execute certain tests. It really helps you with making sure you're maximizing your time, with being really intentional. So let's say, for example, from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. I may have my sales block, my Smilendale. I'll call it a Smilendale, to where I'm making sales calls. That's on my calendar. I have blocked out time to execute that particular test. Maybe from after lunch between 1:30 to 2, I'm checking my emails. So it basically is just allotting hours or half hour increments, whatever that may be, throughout the day to set time for all of your tests. So that's something that has really helped me. It helps you to be really intentional because you can find that you can just be doing things, but it's different when you have a certain level of intentionality, and it really helps with productivity too, to time block. So that's really helped
Big
me.
time. All right, well, I got time for two more. I like this one. This is Avery Harris. She's in 10th grade, one of our champion archers here at Velma Jackson.
Nice.
And she asked, what marketing tactics have been most successful for your business?
Oh, so I have a marketing person. So I will say that that's not an area that I'm just like an expert in. But what I will say, what's really helped is just honestly organic marketing. Really positioning myself as a subject matter expert and ensuring that the areas that I'm really familiarized with, such as task automation, process improvement, different things like that, that I am, putting out posts on my business page that provide information on the services that we provide. And really just, I like really thought provoking in reflective posts because at the end of the day, that's all a consultant is. A consultant asks a lot of questions to get
Okay.
down to the bottom of what the issue is. So that has been really helpful, but also too networking. Just meeting with people in person, attending virtual things such as, what we are having now. That has really helped too to get my business out and really build connections because you will find as an entrepreneur you will need to have connections. You will need to have a network of just different mentors, subject matter experts, people that you can make referrals for that can make referrals for you. So that's really been the best way to do marketing, just organic and making sure that posts that I am are posting are informative and thought provoking and reflective.
Yeah, and we'll make sure this is posted all over social media to plug Lime Group Consulting as well. But what you just said about networking, something I always say is not what you know, it's not who you know, it's who knows you. So it really
Exactly.
is getting your name out there. And again, we talked about that tenacity and that initiative. Closed closed mouths don't get fed. I got one more, and it's funny because he handed me this before we talked about your heart scare. But this is Raheem Cole. He's in ninth grade, and he asked, "What is the most unexpected challenge you've had to face as a business owner?"
Um, yeah, I would say that my health scare definitely was a challenge because I knew at that point I'm like, okay, I'm probably going to have to pull back in some areas because obviously I have to do cardiac rehab, I have to thousands and thousands of appointments, so that was a challenge too. But I think honestly, just the challenge of the unknown. Because when you're an entrepreneur, there are a lot of things that you have to learn along the way. There are a lot of things that you don't know. Whereas working in corporate, there's a little bit more consistency. You know what to expect. So I would say that's what the biggest challenge is that I face as an entrepreneur. And just sometimes just the overwhelming thought of the fact that, gosh, I have to be familiar with operations. I have to be familiar with sales, marketing, a little bit of that because that isn't my, my area of strength and all these different things. But I'm always reminded that I am one person. I can only do what I can, and what I do not know, I will outsource in a minute. Like that's where it goes back to being very self-aware. I am aware of what it is that I am good at. I'm aware of what it is that I am not good at too. So yeah, that's just really important. So I think that's the biggest challenge is just that honestly, all of the curveballs that can come with entrepreneurship, but they're all just so amazing because they're great learning experiences. So you just take it, you learn it, and you pick up and you keep on going, and that's it. That's all.
Awesome. Well, we're almost out of time, and we thank you so much for taking some time for us. But a few things before we go. LimeGroupConsulting.com is the website. All of your social media information is on there. Really, really interesting stuff, especially for our tech kids. Check it out. See all the cool things you're doing. Um, Are there anywhere else that they can find some more information about Lime Group?
Yes, they can go to our website. They can also follow us on Instagram and Facebook as well, and LinkedIn.
Awesome.
But they may not be
Awesome.
on LinkedIn, but
But they need to get on there. We've had several people say they need to. But the last thing before we go is obviously you've overcome an unbelievable hurdle to still become so successful. So, I always say it's not a matter of if life's going to throw you curveballs. It's a matter of when. So we've all had to go through things. I know when you're 15, 16, 17 years old, you're not thinking about that. You're just thinking about Friday night. I just want to get the heck out of here. And look, I'm sure you're just as guilty as I've been. I wasn't thinking about this stuff, and so many times now I say I wish I would have.
yeah.
So, how can these kids prepare as they matriculate through high school, no matter what decision they make? And because we talked about some of the options they're going to have, and our whole idea is just to give them all the information and let them make the best decision. But no matter what decision they make, obstacles are going to come. So when those obstacles come, how can they be best prepared mentally to overcome it and be just as successful as someone like you?
Yeah, I think just um having a certain level of determination. And I think what comes with that is motivation. Honestly, understand what your why is. Why do you want to pursue entrepreneurship? Why do you want to go to college? Why do you want to pursue this particular career field? It's important to understand what your why is because that's going to create your motivation. And your motivation is what is the gas that you're going to put in the car that is going to make you go. Even
Awesome.
if you break down on the side of the road because something unexpected happens, you have a busted tire or something breaks, that is unexpected. When you have that motivation, it's going to keep you going and it's going to help taking you in the right direction. But that really comes with the understanding. And I would say this for entrepreneurship and really any decision that you choose to make, understand what your why is, why you are pursuing what you're pursuing, because that is going to ensure that you stay motivated and all of the actions that you do are going to be conducive to where it is that you want to go.
I love it. Well, again, we thank you so much for fitting this in your schedule all the way from Little Rock, Arkansas. My friend, Charity Miller, founder of Lime Group Consulting. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
All right, talk to you soon, buddy.
All right.
See ya.
Bye.